had some, you know, like say it sold out and then 100 people message you. But just wanted to thank everybody for being here. My name is Jeremy. We have a really incredible group here. And for those of you who weren't at Yosemite Rosh Hashanah, we had 90 people out in Yosemite. It was a 3-night, 4-day retreat. And it was unbelievable. I mean, we got the craziest reactions from all walks of life. And so a bunch of you are here as a reunion, and a bunch of you are here from the community to really kind of see what this is all about. And what's amazing is that this is all peer-led. Jewbilee is all peer-led, it's all volunteer. So thank you to everybody who really came early, helped, jumped in. Thank you to everybody who's going to do that for dinner, for dessert, for the fire circle, for everything. But that's part of what makes it special, is that it literally is everybody just jumping in and making it special. And I think that's what was amazing about the Rosh Hashanah experience. So tonight we've got an amazing musical service, and then we've got dinner, and then we've got a fire circle, and then we're going out in Oakland after for anybody who wants to come out. Is Bree here? Should we still get her way? Yeah, it's Bree's birthday, so she'll be here. She's going to stop there. Yeah. So let's hand it over to our amazing musical ensemble.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Welcome, everyone. So good to see faces from Rosh Hashanah and new faces too. I just want to thank everyone for traveling far and wide, whether you came from the North Bay, South Bay, East Bay, SF, West Bay. Yeah. I always like to start Shabbat just kind of letting go of the week that we had. You might be feeling some, you know, nerves. Maybe your nerves are shot from the week. Maybe you're wishing things would have gone differently. Maybe you're just excited for the weekend. But if you feel comfortable, I invite you to just take a second and close your eyes. Just take a nice deep breath. Let that go. And just imagine anything that you're still holding on to from the week. Imagine it floating up outside of your body, up above your head. And all together, we're letting all of that go. It's just floating out of the tent, away. Take another deep breath. Open your eyes. Look around at all these beautiful people we have here.
Very beautiful.
It's so good to be here with all of you, and with that, we're going to go into Hine Matov, which is really about celebrating being stronger together.
Shabbat
Neshama. And we formed not so long ago, actually. So Jeremy had told me he wanted to do a Rosh Hashanah retreat, and I said I'd love to help with the music. Recruited Nir, and then Kayla joined us the week before and made it amazing. And so Nir over here on percussion, he is also our main musical arranger and sound magician. Kayla, incredible guitarist, vocalist, and our poet laureate. And our newest members of the band, Ben, plays literally everything under the sun, but tonight is playing oboe. And then Daniel on bass, giving us those heart rhythms. So up next is my my favorite Shabbat song, actually, Yedid Nefesh. So I just think it's so beautiful. Source of compassion, friend of my soul. Don't all of our souls need friends? It's nice. For the Rosh Hashanah retreat was submit their favorite quotes, and we thought we were really inspired by them and we wanted to do something with them tonight. So I think a handful of you were given a quote when you walked in, and we wanted to invite you kind of popcorn style to just stand up and read it for everyone. Does someone want to go first?
Hey, go for it. Right here?
Awesome.
Hey.
Go on, man.
In a minute.
See it for what it is, not for what you want it to be.
Hey.
My quote is unattributed, so most of them are attributed.
Yeah.
Gratitude is the cornerstone of consciousness.
Okay. Okay. Each of us is more than the worst thing we have ever done. Brian Stevenson. Yeah.
Good.
Wherever you are, be there totally. If you find your here and now intolerable and it makes you unhappy, you have three options. Remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. If you want to take responsibility for your life, you must choose one of those three options, and you must choose now. Then accept the consequences. Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, I know that guy. I mean, the author.
Should we have one more? We'll have more time too, so yeah.
One small crack does not mean you are broken. It means you are put to the test and you didn't fall apart.
Very nice. Did you get one?
Guys, and we'll do another round of these. Up next, we have a Sephardic version of L'Chadodi. Hope that you'll sing along. It's such a cool metaphor, right? Welcoming the Sabbath bride. I invite you guys all to stay standing, actually. So the Baruch is the part of the service where we're kind of officially and humbly saying hello to God, however you understand God, the great mystery, higher power. And Kayla introduced this version to us. It's super beautiful. Hope you sing along. We're gonna do mostly the English words that you see there and then go into the Hebrew.
Before we do with that, can everybody take two and pass it? Paper is the same as the sticky notes. And take a pen. We have to probably share some pens.
Sticky notes?
Most of the time we're just feeling so separate and different, and it's like, I feel like sometimes we go through the week battling a little bit. And I think this is maybe the most revolutionary prayer that we have. It is so profound to say, actually, like, we stand for the connection between all living beings. So we're here on this farm. Later you'll have a chance to walk around and see all the vegetables. They're amazing. There are animals here. We think about connecting with that and the broader Bay Area and the world. Let's really pray for the connection as we do the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך וחיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננת על לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושבתך ובקומך ושבתך מאוד על ידיך וחיו תותפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. I'd like to invite Dan Epstein up to read a poem for us before we go into a reflection exercise that Jeremy's going to lead.
You reading this, be ready. Starting here, what do you want to remember? How sunlight creeps along a shining floor? What scent of old wood hovers? What softened sound from outside fills the air? Will you ever bring a better gift for the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go right now? Are you waiting for time to show you some better thoughts? When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you found. Carry into evening all that you want from this day. This interval you spent reading or hearing this, keep it for life. What can anyone give you greater than now? Starting here, right in this room, when you turn around. William Stafford.
Alright, so for those of you who came to Yosemite Rosh Hashanah, you know these sticky notes. We like to make the service as interactive as possible. And I think there's a lot of kind of lead up in Rosh Hashanah about how this is really about connecting in some way. And so I'll just reiterate that for a second because not everybody here believes the same thing, right? We may, I think most of us being Jewish, right? But being Jewish means a lot of different things. And for some, it means believing in God. For others, it means cultural, right? For others, like, we had a discussion at Rosh Hashanah about how diverse the views, for anybody who's there, how diverse the views of God is, right? And what people even think that means. But tonight, our goal is really, and with this community, is to really connect in some way, right? And it doesn't have to be religious. It could be spiritual. It could also be with each other, connecting with community, right? It could be connecting with nature. It could be just finding something that you find meaningful from this past week that you want to carry forward into the next week. And so with that, we have kind of what we hope to be an interactive reflection piece of this. So it is Friendsgiving, right? Which is, obviously a play on Thanksgiving. And for anybody who wasn't sure, you'd be like impressed the questions I get actually. Just, organizing these things, it's really interesting. So obviously, what is a Friendsgiving, right? What is Thanksgiving? And I think it's often become like a cultural commodity, but being thankful, right? There is that being thankful, and we want to express our gratitude and our thankfulness. But being thankful, Thanksgiving also has another piece to it, right? And it's not just what are we receiving, but what are we giving, right? So when you think about thanks, like, there's literally giving in Thanksgiving, right? Like it's literally there's an exchange, right? Because in the world, it's never a one-way street. It's always a two-way street. So what we'd like to do right now is, does everybody have a sticky note?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So if everybody could take two sticky notes or 2 pieces of paper. Show of hands who has a pen. I know we're missing. Okay.
I have a pen.
So if you guys can share, how many? So that's the only pen we have over here. So if I pass like a few pens over this way, I know we don't have enough pens, so
I just have a quote.
I brought my own
Geico.
pen. I always
No,
have a
I'm
pen.
kidding.
So a big part of Friendsgiving is really, we can just bring it back for a minute, guys. So a big part of Friendsgiving is the community, right? That we rely on each other, and so, guys, if we can just have silence. So a big part of Friendsgiving is really that community, right? And it's that giving and that receiving. And so what we want to do now is take a couple of minutes and write down what are the things in the past year that that you've leaned on the community for, right? We're all one community. That's what really brings us together, right? Regardless of your religious views, your political views, right? We're all here as Jewbilee together as a community, right? 100 young adults. And what are the things that, when you look back in the past year that you've been grateful for, where you really had to rely on the community? It might have been your family, it might have been your friends, it might have been your Jewish community, it could have been anything, right? So let's just take a minute to reflect on that and jot down on one of those sticky notes all those things that you have that we've relied on in the community for. So on one sticky note, just start jotting.
Can we get more sticky notes back here?
What?
Can we get more sticky notes?
Any more sticky notes? But, okay, can you pass why you were grateful for that, right? Just like 1-2 sentences. And we're gonna actually pass that forward when we're done. So people will see this, but it'll be anonymous. Nobody's gonna know who it is.
free to be seated.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Ushmor tzedkenu
Who didn't get to say their quotes the first time around. Maybe I'll invite Gila to kick it off.
Okay, I lost mine,
Okay.
but I remember it, which is say what you think and feel what you feel, something like that, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. Dr.
Anything else can bring about a really deep peace. It's kind of crazy. I'd never thought about it before, but if you picture your parents, your parent, someone who raised you, and then you picture them being a small child and their parents, and then you might not have a face or a name for them, but picture then their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. And by now we're definitely in another continent, speaking other languages. And it goes back and back and back and back. And if you do the math, there were probably about 300 generations that came before us. And an exponential number of people who paired up and had babies and kept those babies alive long enough to then have babies. And in this world, we're never alone. We have each other, and we also have this deep, deep connection to these people who came before us, whose genes we've inherited, and who did just enough right for us to have this crazy happenstance that we're alive right now, here. So here's to our ancestors and the shoulders that we're standing on. As we do the Mourner's Kaddish, I'd like to invite anyone who might be observing a yard site or who might have lost someone in the past year to stand, and if you feel comfortable, say their name, who they were for you, and maybe something that you loved about them. Yeah. May Rabba Mevorach Leolam U'Mei Almaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Pa'ar V'Ramam V'Naseh V'Tadar V'Tala V'Talal Shemei Dukudishah Brechu La'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiram v'yamav v'imru amen. Say shalom v'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Recognized from late Shabbat. When Nir said he wanted to do it, I was so excited. It's called A Song for the Divine Mother of the Universe. And my own mom was a really, really big musical influence on me. And she passed away 14 years ago. And the guitar that Kayla's playing actually is one she gave to me. And it's hard for me to play, so I don't play it. But I'm so glad Kayla's playing it today. And I just really want to welcome my mom's memory here with us now. This song isn't on your sheets. It's just going to be call and response. It's all English, so. Sweet mother, I'm coming home. Now I know I'm not alone. 'Cause I've been far. Now I'm close. Sweet mother, I'm coming home. Sweet mother, I'm coming home. Tell me, mother, can you hear me sing? Tell me, mother, can you hear me sing? Your love is everything. Your love is everything. Heart and soul, breath and skin. Your love is everything. Your love is everything. Oh mother, please hold me tight. Mother, I need some help tonight. Mother, I need some help tonight. What went wrong? What went wrong? Soon be right.
So this is the Tzelem Elohim by Dan Nichols, if anybody knows it. Please sing along. We're gonna rock out to this.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. We have a special treat now. Our good friend Arnold Toller has a Devar Torah for us.
You be seated. Next portion, so here I am giving you that talk. Before I begin, I'm going to start off by echoing a sentiment from a Shabbat I attended at a place in the mission called Manny's, that maybe some of you have been to, owned by a guy named Manny. So Manny's parents are Jewish immigrants, like mine, that escaped anti-Semitic countries. His from Afghanistan, mine from the Soviet Union. Those are just two of countless countries that once welcomed Jews, but eventually targeted and persecuted us. It's because of this deep history of anti-Semitism throughout the world, whether in Afghanistan, the Soviet Union, or 1930s Germany, that makes it so fundamental that Jews have a place that will always welcome us, and that place is Israel. So at Manny's Shabbat at his cafe, which is a huge open windows pointing out to Valencia and 16th Street in the Mission, he spoke about how important it is to acknowledge how lucky we are that we can publicly advertise and host a Jewish event and have no concern about danger. It's a special time in Jewish history when that's the case. So tonight, I'd like to also echo that and take a second to be grateful for what we have here today in Brooklyn. So speaking about Israel, where is he? This beautiful Israeli named Nir, who is up here drumming, had the idea for me to perform the talk this week, and I agreed without either of us knowing the subject of this week's Torah portion. As it turns out, it's this epic portion that contains fundamental stories like Abraham pleading with God to spare the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, God promising a very old Abraham and Sarah that they would have children, Sarah giving birth to Isaac, and God asking Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac and then stepping in at the last second to stop it. The name of the portion is called Vayera, which translates into, and he appeared, or in other words, and he showed up. Interestingly enough, with all the things that happen in this Torah portion, the part that stood out to me is how it begins. Abraham sees three people appear, and he recognizes them to represent God and two angels. Rather than asking God and the angels for anything, Abraham instead welcomes them into his home, showers them in care and generosity by bringing them water, by cooking them a great feast, and he even gets on his knees to wash their feet for them. I reflected about the times in my life when I've showed up with the same level of selfless care and generosity, when I've showed up like Abraham did. Maybe when I felt guilty, maybe when the mood just strikes me to be my best self. But when I think about the way that I intend for my future kids, my future partner to experience me, it's not the way that I show up frequently enough today. So the question I've been thinking about a lot, and what I called this, is how do I want to show up? How do I want to show up? So in the book Sapiens, Yuval Noah Harari points out how we're at our biological golden age. Historically speaking, relatively few of us have to worry about food, relatively few of us have to worry about shelter and about water. But nevertheless, we have record levels of depression and suicide. He points to consumerism, the message that the more stuff we have, the happier we'll be. When I think about what the phrase, how do I want to show up, means today in this consumerism context, it has morphed into, how do I want to be portrayed by my phone screen, on Instagram,
on Facebook, on Hinge, on Bumble, on Tinder. We spend so much effort to get a single frame to make our lives look so effortless. We optimize for these micro doses of ego boosts in the forms of likes from people we barely know, or matches on dating apps that we have no intention of dating, or inflated job titles to use when introducing ourselves, all for that split second of validation. I found that these moments ultimately leave me feeling empty, and I've realized that pointing our lives in the direction of cultivating an image is pointing our lives away from what matters. Now, I'm not saying that all social media is evil, but I am convinced that when look at what I have and this is what I do for a living is how you define yourself, you won't be happy. So I want to be happy, I want to be better, I want to show up better, and I want to refocus on what matters. The first big step for me has been getting in the habit of asking myself, how do I want to show up? My answer to that, after thinking long and hard about it, is I want to show up thoughtful and caring and generous. I want to show up like Abraham did with his visitors. To be honest with you, I haven't really figured out how to yet. But a habit that has nudged me in the direction of showing up that way is spending time with community and within nature. Harkening back to Sapiens, humans are naturally programmed to derive happiness from community and nature. And so that's what I'm trying to prioritize. From there, I started thinking about who do I want to show up for. Personally, I know myself, I'm stingy with my love. And broadening the definition of what community means to me, of the people that we are willing to truly show up for, has a far-reaching effect that can change and improve the setting around us meaningfully. Also, being honest with you, I found it too easy to lose focus on this, and that I fall into old habits. So what do? I just keep reminding myself, how do I want to show up? How do I want to show up? How do I want to show up? And so now I'm asking all of you, how do you want to show up? Shabbat Shalom.
Big thank you to Jeremy. Yes! For the few of you who may not know Jeremy, he's the man behind Jewbilee, and I love organizing stuff with you. I feel inspired doing it. You give me so much peace of mind with how well you take care of everything. And if anyone's like really good at planning events or parties, or like loves helping with Facebook marketing, hit Jeremy up. I also want to thank Iman, Nir's roommate, who let us rehearse at their place. Want to thank Arnold for that great Devar Torah. All the volunteers who got here early and helped set up with everything. And Urban Adamah, this incredible farm that we're at. How like random and cool is this place, right? And then lastly, I just want to thank all of you. You are the heart and soul. And I can't wait to eat dinner with you soon. Stay wild, stay grateful, stay hungry. Shabbat Shalom. Let's do Shalom Aleichem. I love you.
Shabbat Shalom.
And this is kind of a nice part of the night where if you feel so inclined, you might like put your arm around your friends, maybe pat them on the back. We don't get enough hugs.
Mama
Come on with me, I don't I have enough. ריבונו שמיים וארץ, בכל צבעם, ואחדים במשביעים לך, אשר עשה, וישקוט במשביעים לך, אשר עשה, ויבא לכם מכם המשביעים, וקדש אותו כראש שבת מקום מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות, סברי מרנן. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהים חלם, פורים פי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהים חלם, אשר גנזות סליחה, ונשא לנו בשבת קודשו, ואמר ספרנו, ספרנו, נושא בראשית, תחילה, לפני קודש, זה ואיך מצרים. כי באנו בחרת, וקצרנו קידשת, בכל